Hey there, it's Prime Time Optimus Prime. Why are you talking that way? Blaster. Autobot Blaster has amassed an incredible collection of music from across the galaxy. From hundreds of worlds, he's gathered the loudest, fastest, most brutal, ear-splitting, guitar-shredding rock and roll he could find. When you charge into battle alongside Autobot Blaster, you are accompanied by a thunderous soundtrack of which the mightiest Viking would approve. That's just downright silly.
Welcome back to eBEFOREi Video Reviews, and I'm very excited to bring this one to you. This is Transformers Generations Fall of Cybertron Autobot Blaster. And Steeljaw's included, which is great because he's a lion. He's not just a lion cassette, he's a lion data disc. How cool is that? So this is a remold of the Fall of Cybertron Soundwave figure, and I think, at least looking from in the package, that this might even be a better use of the mold than Soundwave. I mean, this guy looks fantastic. Quick review of the box. There's the figure. On the side, you've got nothing. On the back, you've got the bio that you just heard. Here is his technical specs, and if you pause the video now, you can read them. All right, so there's Steeljaw data disc figure included, which is great. And on the other side, you've got all the minions and things that you will purchase later on. You will. I know you will. Oh, and on the bottom, too. More things for you to buy. So anyway, that's the package. Let's get him open and see if he's as cool as he looks in the box. Here we have Blaster out of the packaging, and this is a magnificent figure. I mean, this guy's really just fantastic. He looks great in robot mode, and little Steeljaw looks kind of cool as well. We'll go over them in detail here in just a moment. Taking a look at Blaster up close. You can see Blaster's head sculpt is G1 all the way. I mean, this guy looks fantastic up close. So the head sculpt is very nice. He's got the yellow paint in there, and that looks pretty good too, so no complaints there. Nice white painted Autobot symbol. There is a little bit of maybe quality control issue with some of this yellow paint that's scraping off. You do have the blue translucent plastic right here. Other paint in robot mode, you've got the very nice silver on the sides, and the yellow stripes on the arms, and the rest of it pretty much carries over into vehicle mode. Now, there's not a ton more paint, and that's okay. I think when you see this figure in person, this might work a bit better than even the Soundwave mold. So we'll see. As for Steeljaw, so this is Steeljaw up close, and yeah, he looks pretty good. He kind of looks like the original Steeljaw, at least in his face, well, sort of. And the funny thing is I have an original Steeljaw around here somewhere, and the son who will not be named took him and hid him somewhere from me. But, since this is 2013, as I'm recording this, way to date my video there, but, since it's 2013, these guys don't turn into cassettes anymore. They turn into data discs. Now, to get this guy into a data disc, and by the way, he doesn't look bad. He still has the little winged tips that go up on his behind quarters there. And, some other decent detail in plastic molding in the figure looks kind of nice. So no real problems there. To get him transformed, it's really pretty simple. You want to fold in the tail, and you want to fold that on top, and there you've got data disk on top of the head. From this point, you can go ahead and move the arms around, and you'll connect these things together just like that, so you basically have the top part of the disc. Now, I found this next part easier if you lift these arms just a little bit up. You got to fold these feet back in. Turn these around just like that. And you just basically push, watch your fingers, so that these collapse together. And then you just pinch everything back in, and you'll have a complete circle. All right, so there's our data disk, and yeah, it looks pretty good. It's a circle, it's a disk, kind of fat, but it's ancient Cybertron. These things get a lot thinner as time goes on. There's really not a lot to discuss. The paint on this guy looks pretty good, and a decent little Autobot symbol. Here you've got his trigger point, and that's really it. Now, he does fit inside of Blaster. And to get him in there, you're just going to push this button right here. Secret compartment opens up. To get this guy in, you just want to basically just push him in the middle. Now, like Soundwave, he can hold up to 3 data disks, and you can push this guy pretty far back. As you can see, there's lots of clearance there. The problem with this is you form an enormous backpack. The further I move this back, the further on back that this thing goes, and that's kind of a downside. It's a little bit gimmicky. Now, if you just have 1 data disk, well, then you can push this more forward, and then the backpack's still there, but it's not unbearable. But if you want to get up to 3 people in here, or 3 data disks, then you got to push this thing all the way back, and it really just ends up looking good as a shelf display piece trying to hide this back kibble. Now, because this thing pushes the trigger button as I push it out, ideally what will happen is this thing will transform as it comes out of the back. So as I push this forward, I don't know if you caught that, but it flew out and basically pseudo-transformed. Now, he and Ravage suffer from the same thing, in which you have to go ahead and finish the transformation somewhat manually. So the button in Steeljaw's case really only just kind of starts him going, and then you finish it yourself. Articulation on Blaster is the same as Soundwave, but you have a swivel up here in the arm, and it's a 2-way swivel, so you've got the joint right here, and you can get the arm up in all kinds of different poses. You can also swivel right here at the forearm, you can bend with the ratchet joint at the elbow, and the hands do rotate, which is nice. So you don't have to have them in this weightlifter pose like you see in all these pictures, and I don't understand why people would want to do that. But, to each their own. You have no waist articulation. The leg is on a dual hinge. And you can also swivel it right there. He has ratchets in the knee, and his feet do move up and down. Now, his head is not on a ball joint, but it does turn from side to side. You're not going to get any up and down movement on that head. Light piping is there. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. And man, my flashlight is in bad shape. he looks like he needs to go back to the shop. But yeah, the light piping's okay. Nothing to write home about there. Size comparison, here's Blaster next to his buddy Jazz, and Jazz is a fairly tall deluxe figure, but he still towers over him, so Blaster's fairly large. The same can be said for his mold counterpart, Soundwave. And Soundwave looks to be just a tad bit taller in the way that he's designed. Maybe I'm crazy in thinking that and just need to straighten out Blaster's legs. Yeah, they're probably the exact same size. Ignore me! Now, to get Blaster transformed, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not too hard to do. The first thing you want to do is you want to bend these hands so the thumb is face up. And I should also mention that on his hand right here, his finger is molded in such a way that you can pose him up and it looks like his finger is going to launch his cassettes or his discs. So that's kind of a nice touch. So anyway, once you get the hand flipped around, you're just going to tuck that in, just like that, and do the same thing on the other side. Turn, pop in. You want to put the arms back like this. Open it up on the other side, and bring this hinge so that it's down, just like that. Then you want to bring this up flush. And there's a tab here, there's a peg hole right there, and there's a tab slot right there. And you want to marry them up, just like that. Do the same thing on the other side, and bring these pieces together and cover up the head. Now, I've no doubt that this next bit's going to become unpegged while we're doing transformation, but ultimately what you want to do is start to pull this out and kind of lift that back up. And by the way, if you want to see what's underneath here, you kind of see that it's giving the illusion that there might be a couple of tape heads under there. So interesting, not sure why. Could also argue that those are little speakers, but whatever. And those things are just going to basically tab up under the hood. But again, I have no doubt that's going to come out as we continue this transformation. From here, you want to go onto the sides and grab these wheels and pull the wheels out front. And they're not going to tab in, but they'll sit there quite firm. Then you want to bring these arms around and just kind of tab them up underneath. Go to the back, pull this thing out to make sure you have clearance for the arms to do just that. The next thing you're going to do is put your thumb right here, and you're going to pull this piece out, just like that, bend it open, and get it just like that and put it straight out. Come down to the feet. You want to just pull these up like that. You want to rotate these all the way around. until they, what I like to say, they soft click into place. Not really a click, but it definitely holds in there. You want to take this whole leg bit under the waist and just pull it. Get the legs out of the way so you can snap this into place. You're going to bend the feet up, or the legs up, and you're going to lock them in place. Rinse and repeat on the other side. Just like that. Then you want to bend the feet. These things might come untabbed a bit. Just keep squeezing them together. Point the feet down just like that. Then what you're going to want to do is you want to get this whole thing, and you just want to hinge it right there so that this whole thing comes up and covers that front portion, just like that. Squeeze everything together, make sure you have everything tabbed in. And I told you this thing was going to come undone, so just kind of pull that out and lift that back up into place. Keep squeezing everything together real tight. And to finish this off, you can take this weapon, which, by the way, this weapon looks great. And I didn't go over this in robot mode, but the weapon looks really good. It's kind of old school. I think it looks very similar to the weapon that the original blaster came with. I might be wrong about that, but go ahead and stick that in there. And here we've got Blaster in his vehicle mode, and he looks great. I mean, he's a vehicle. Now, we're used to seeing Blaster as a boombox, and it makes more sense for the character to be a boombox. And there is still kind of a fan mode where you can make him such, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. To look at the vehicle that he turns into, I think this thing looks pretty good. You know, he's got the paint right here on his kneecaps, which basically start to look like exhaust pipes on the back of this Cybertronian type vehicle. Odd thing is, you have a chair up here, and I'm not sure who would sit there. It looks human size, unless you're looking at cassettes that or data disks that would be the size of someone like Rumble in the, you know, in the make-believe world. He would be, I guess, human type size. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure why this is here. These are Cybertronian vehicles. They've never been to Earth yet, and so I don't really get that. But it's fine. No big deal. Looking at the details up close. He's got gold in the wheels, which looks cool. He's got this kind of fluorescent blue, which looks really nice up against the red and the yellow of the figure. It's kind of the Hulk Hogan of toys, isn't it? I don't know. But anyway, he's got the banana yellow seat, and yeah, that's pretty much all the paint detail that you're going to get on this guy. I think the vehicle looks good. I think the robot mode looks fantastic. Now, let's talk about the gimmick first. You can come in here and push this button. Opens up the data disk hole right there. You can stick a disk inside and still actually launch it by putting your hand up here. So you push this thing open, put your hand up where the seat is, and move it forward. And you can get your spring to life lion, or not. But that's the idea. So you certainly can launch these things out when he's in vehicle mode. When you do that, you're going to start to untab this front thing, and that's kind of a pain, but just, you know, be aware that that's there. To make this guy into Boombox mode, it's probably easier to do this from the mode that he's in currently. And what you want to do is you want to lift this hood, kind of get that out of the way. You want to untab the legs. Just like that. And you also want to transform the waist portion as if you were going to make him into robot mode. Just untab and fold this thing forward just like that. Okay, from here you want to take the legs and you want to basically just maneuver, get this in camera. From here you want to take the legs and just basically, you know, form them in a way to where they start to stick up. All right, then you want to give them some stability, so you can come around to the back, and you can fold this in a way that, you know, you'll give him just that. Now, it might be better to fold these wheels in, because that gives you more clearance to kind of compact the legs together. Push this guy all the way in, and you can still kind of drag that down to give him more of a balance. And there you've got Blaster in his pseudo tape deck mode, complete with the rewind, pause, play, and forward. Kind of cool. So while Grimlock is not amused, that's my review of Blaster. I think he's a great looking robot, perfect for your G1 type shelf or a classic shelf. Absolutely, to the T, a great representation of Blaster. Boombox Mode looks pretty good, no problems with that at all, even though it's unofficial. Vehicle Mode looks okay, it's probably the weakest of everything we've done, but even that still looks good, so I don't really have any complaints there. So again, I hope you enjoyed the contents of this review. If you like what you saw, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button somewhere around here. You can also chat with me about all these things through comments or Facebook at facebook.com/eBEFOREiNet or on Twitter with @e_before_i. Thank you again so much for watching. We'll see you again real soon.